Good evening and welcome to another episode of Late Night with Lenette. I'm Lenette Peterson, your host. Going to change a quote a little. Oh, the evil web we weave when we practice to deceive. Our governor is at it again. She refuses to work across party lines to come to an agreement on the budget. She's ignoring her own party leaders of the state Senate she would rather shut down the government than work on a compromise with both parties. Now, the governor claims no one's talking veto, no one's talking about this prematurely, but a member of her own party, Senator Jeff Woodburn, just to drop a name, is quoted as saying the budget is on the brink of a veto. Our governor is speaking with forked tongue. She wants the public to think she has our best interest at heart, but behind closed doors, she is all set to shut the government down for her own good. She is willing to put critical state services in shutdown mode rather than compromise. If she can't have things her way, then no services get done. The sandbox is closed. She's taking her toys. She's going home. Really, Governor? This is how you want the people of New Hampshire to see you? Again, it's time for a new hobby. Maybe she should take up gardening. On to our Hillary happening. Another charity watchdog has claimed the Clinton Foundation tried to strong-arm its employees after the group placed the foundation on a watch list for philanthropies with potential problems. This watchdog group is claiming Hillary's family charity had an atypical business model that requires further review. The foundation will stay under a close eye for at least 6 months. Well, soon as staffers found this out, all of a sudden, everyone's trying to get their piece of the pie. Everyone was jumping. Everyone was trying to get money for this, money for that. Nothing for charities for themselves. This is not what the Clinton Foundation is supposed to be doing. The money is supposed to be going to charities, not their own pockets. Time to say no to Hillary and the Clintons. And with that, my guest this evening, the one and only Merrimack's freshman state rep, Joshua Moore.
Yeah.
Welcome
hey,
to
Lenette.
Late Night with Lenette.
Oh, thank you. Hey, Merrimack. Hey again. I love you guys so much.
Okay, cool your jets there, Jedi.
Well,
Yes,
forgive me for sounding all sweet.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I like your jacket.
Don't you though? Isn't
I
this
do.
nice?
It's very. Did they take little squares from fabric and put it all together?
I believe so.
That's pretty.
It's kind of, yeah.
That's creative. I like it.
Yes. Well, Josh, as you know, I was a 2-term state rep, termed myself, 2 kids in college. Josh decided to run, not even knowing me. We knew nothing of each other. We met about a year and a half before your campaign actually kicked off.
Yeah.
It was around just before 4th of July. I think it was in June at a Merrimack GOP meeting.
I think it was. Yeah, it was about 7 months roughly after I had decided that I was going to run. So yeah.
Well, we met, and let's just say Representative Moore was a little green around the gills.
I was a little. Yeah, you could say that. I should probably not say anything. It's okay. Everybody knows me on my show anyway, so that's fine. I was a little bit hot-headed sometimes.
Yes, he was a whack job.
Whoa!
Needed a little guiding.
A little sharpening.
A little sharpening, a little smoothing down the edges a bit.
Yeah, now I'm like a missile.
So I took it upon myself to decide to mentor the young man. Mm-hmm. I had a mentor going into the State House, the Honorable Nancy Elliott. I ran to take her place. In fact, she was on a show just a week or so ago. She guided me, that she was my mentor, guided me, and even through my 2 terms, a lot of mornings driving up to the State House, get Nancy on the phone, we'd talk about what was coming up during the day. I'd let her know some of the things that I was going to be doing, what I was speaking on, things like that. I looked to her for guidance and got a lot of great advice and support from Nancy. So I figured, hey, I'm leaving the State House. Pass this on to a young man going in. Good conservative, awesome voting record, by the way.
Thank you.
For
Woo!
the HRA, you and Janine are our top 2 state reps.
Rock on. Yep.
Yeah, so this is the young Jedi.
The young Jedi.
Yes.
And like you had when you were in your first term with Nancy Elliott guiding you, I have had a fantastic mentor myself, the Honorable former State Representative Lenette Peterson.
Well, thank you.
So
what got you in the first? What interest did you have in the first place of running for state rep?
Well, I have always been a complainer about government, big government anyway. Family members, friends constantly told me, well, you don't really do anything, Josh, so like most people, you really don't have much of a say because you don't do anything to change anything in the first place. I said, you better watch what you say to me. So, I thought, you know what? That's actually true. With that coupled with the fact that I had been a recent graduate, that being like 5 years prior, 2008, education really bothered me. I see a lot of these things, like the books they teach in school and so on. It's just really bad stuff. Common Core ticked me off and still ticks me off today. I do not like state-run education like that. I do not like it being nationalized at all. So that really got me involved. And I said, you know what? This is a big thing. I want to run on this education thing because it's popular to the people. People find it very important. It's their kids. I mean, for goodness sake, Merrimack's got a lot of kids in the school system. I mean, the education is at stake. So that got me interested, and a lot of people liked me for it. They said I really appreciate it. They told me when I went home to home door knocking, talked to a few people at the polls, and they said I really appreciate your stance on education. And so yeah, that's what got me involved. But big government in general, it stinks, and I wanted to take it on. So.
Now, were there any surprises up at the State House? I mean, I know when I went up there, I really didn't have any surprises. Nancy pretty much filled me in on what was going on. I knew what to expect. I knew I was going to have to be a county representative as well as a Merrimack rep. There was going to be county work that you have to do. I really didn't go in with too many surprises, other than your own party. I mean, sometimes you don't know who your enemy is on certain bills.
Yeah. So surprises. Like you, since you helped me out a lot just prior to getting in, I didn't have a lot of surprises myself. I don't even know if the right word would be surprise though, but like you said, when you learning who's your friend, who's your enemy, if you want to call it that. I know there's that compromise thing, but how much you really compromise before you actually need to pull her in the reins and say, no, we need to get our way or we're going to fail as a state, So learning a lot of that, I think that probably some of the biggest surprises I ran into was simple things like going into the education committee when I got it. And I was like, this is awesome. I was told it's going to be about a medium. But it just so happens that Common Core is this big thing this year, of course. And we were one of the top 3 busiest committees throughout the year. I said, oh boy, well, it was a little bit of a surprise, but hey, it was good. We went through. So these little tidbits, but overall, as far as how the system works and how that goes, there weren't any surprises until one thing came up, which was the committee of conference. And I had no clue. I'd never heard of that before. So I was like, oh, this is interesting, which is still going on. They're kind of pulling stuff out right now. So that'll be coming to a close here in the next week or two. But yeah, that's kind of where it was at. So.
Yeah, education. I was the prime sponsor of House Bill 1508, which was to totally eliminate Common Core from New Hampshire. Unfortunately, it was a Democrat-controlled House, and the bill was killed.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. What are you chuckling about?
Oh, nothing. I love everybody. No, I do love everybody. Yes.
Now, what did you think of life on the Education Committee?
Life on the Education Committee, I'll tell you what. Wow. So I went in there with this preconceived notion that there's going to be this bill, and this bill, right? Common Core going to be, and then boy, was my mind open to a whole new world. The old Aladdin song. It was crazy. I started, and I knew I was going to be talking about this on the show today because I'm learning all these new terms and these new things called adequacy funding and the cap, and I'm going, what? Wait a second. People, slow down for a second. What is adequacy? So, and I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. but it was really cool. I mean, if I could be humble for a second, it was very cool being in there learning from a lot of these people, both Democrats and Republicans, because they all came from a sort of different background, so I'm going, this is neat. We got teachers sitting across from us. So that was cool, learning about these things. And life was busy, I'll tell you that much. But it's been kind of fun because I'm the youngest one on the committee, and they all, surprisingly, I guess surprisingly, and a lot of them took what I was saying with some weight. They said, okay, Merrimack chose this young man to be their representative, so we've got to take him serious in some way. So I kind of gained a little respect on that, and I appreciated that. So I showed everybody else the same respect.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you were all voted in.
That's right.
You all make the same amount of salary. Doesn't matter if you've been in there.
Exactly right.
If you're in there 15 terms, 1 term, you make the same amount of money. You have the same license plate, different number.
That's it.
You all sit in the same reps hall. No one gets special seating, for the most part. Unless you have special needs. You need to get out and you can't crawl through people. Everyone's equal plane.
That's it.
And now some think they're on a pedestal.
Oh, that's true. Oh, I know.
But you get that wherever you go.
That's exactly right.
No matter what walk of life you are, what job you have, there's always going to be someone who thinks they're on a higher pedestal than everybody else.
Like Lenette.
Oh, so wrong. So wrong.
You're high on my pedestal.
Oh, I thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And when I was served on the House Judiciary, that was very interesting, especially in the beginning, with all the lawyers. And we had a few lawyers on Judiciary, of course. The chairman was a former judge. The vice chair was a lawyer, and I think we had 3 other lawyers on there. And that's all we heard in the beginning. The first introduction was we were all talking, introducing each other. And finally, the vice chair said, "Oh, it sounds like we have a few lawyers here. Who are the lawyers?" And of course, they raised their hand. Well, then the chairman said, "Okay, why don't we go around the room and introduce each other? Introduce yourself, and we'll start with my clerk." Well, that was me. I was the clerk for Judiciary that year.
Right.
And I just chuckled and I said, "Well, I'm not a lawyer, and frankly, I don't like lawyers anyway." So that started the term on the right foot.
Oh, that's great. Oh, who likes lawyers, right?
Yeah. So now, House sessions.
Oh.
What do you think of the House sessions?
I really enjoyed House sessions. I really did. There was some surprising things though I found out. Little details that aren't massive or anything. But like for instance, I thought, this is kind of funny actually, I thought that I'm going to have to sit in my seat all 8 hours or 5 hours or whatever it may be. And little did I know, I see people getting up, starting to move around and going to the ante room, going to check their mailbox, chatting around, talking. And some of the people, they work full time, so they have to go out there and get on their computer, email their boss or whatever it may be. And I'm sitting there thinking, what's going on? And then I realized, oh, we've got like 20 bills right now that are going to get a voice vote. So they sort of just, that's what happens. People walk out, take a break real quick, come back in. So there was a little the way the function of how it worked was a little interesting. But I loved it, and I still do. I enjoy going up there. There's so many little details that, but going down and speaking at the well, I think that to me was probably the most fun. I've done it 3 or 4 times, because I remember you gave me some advice. You'd said, pick and choose your battles. Don't go down there every time to speak. Make sure it's short and sweet and to the point. Be respectful and go sit back down. And so I said, Master Yoda has told me this. Young Jedi will listen. And I did. So it's been great. And everybody who's heard me speak, they said, good job. We really appreciate you getting up there. And every time you've done it, you've been short and sweet and to the point. We like that. And I like that out of other people. So, do unto others as you want to be treated. So I expect them to go down there and not give me a 15-minute speech that I've heard before. So.
Unfortunately, not everyone takes that.
No, they don't.
No.
They really think it's actually... And I've learned this in church and ministry too. It still surprised me to this day. People really do like to hear themselves talk.
Oh yeah.
They love to. I have a fantastic argument or a point to this, and they go, you don't think we've heard that before? I mean, really?
Yeah.
That argument's been used a century now.
And you can tell, and no matter what their cause is, they think they have to talk for as long as they want. And it got to the point that when certain reps get up to speak, reps hall clears out. Everyone heads for the exits because they know this is going to take 15, 20 minutes. I already know how I'm voting. I'm not going to listen.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because there might be a speaker right afterwards that has a short message that is different from everything else. And yeah, you really do want to hear that message, but everyone's gone.
I've seen, speaking of reps hall and people speaking down the well, I've seen a few freshman reps, I can think one easily in particular, who either get up there and they speak a long time, or they get up there and it's the content of what they're saying, even if it's 3 or 4 minutes, the content of what they're delivering may show some disrespect to certain members of the House or even the speaker himself, whether or not you like him. You know, and I've noticed that there's already, when this person gets up, a freshman, and there are people already leave, half the room takes off, I go, thank God that's not me. Oh my gosh, because that would be so embarrassing. Yeah. And you know, and what do you think the constituents are going to do? You know, if they're paying attention, they're going to say, well, we want to be represented, and that's not good when half the House leaves because the guy we put in isn't doing his job. You know? Yeah. And that's horrible.
Yeah, and some people, especially my first term, my watch always has a stopwatch on it. Former PE teacher, I used it a lot. Reps Hall, a windbag would get up there, someone who spends way too much time talking. I'd set my stopwatch. They had 5 minutes. And if they weren't done in the 5 minutes, I stopped my watch, stepped over my seat, I went out the door. I had work to do. I worked on bills. I did something. I was not going to sit there and listen.
Yeah.
You got 5. If you can't make your point within 3 to 5 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
And by then you've lost everybody. No one is listening anyway.
Yep.
Yep.
No, it's true. And actually, the term that I've actually used on my show before in trying to correct certain terms that are used in today's society, like open-minded. You know, people say you need to be more open-minded, but literally the definition means to be receptive to new ideas and new arguments. So if I leave the room because you're not convincing, it probably means you don't have new ideas and new arguments for me to be receptive to.
Exactly.
You know, it's the same old stuff. So it's like, well, I hear you. I'm not going to sit and tolerate it because I've heard the same bilge before. You know, for or against a certain thing, and I'm going, this is ridiculous. I mean, especially, but I don't mind giving them 3 minutes or 5 minutes, like you said.
Exactly.
Even if I've heard it before. Yeah. Okay, you gave the same stuff. Maybe you give something a little different, but when they go on for 15 minutes, like, oh man, come on.
I hear
let's just get the job. We're wasting the taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
You know, are we going through 15 minutes of having to listen to this? It's like, gee whiz. So that's really where it's boiled down to so far. But it's like, a lot of learning up there, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, a lot of learning. I remember the first time, figuring out what ITL stood for.
Oh, yeah, I know.
ITL stands for inexpedient to legislate, meaning kill it. It's not necessary, just kill it. But when you first see ITL, it's like, all right, what does ITL stand for? Yeah, I can remember a freshman, Charlie Moore. He's from the Jaffrey area. Him and I were talking in the stairwell, and we had both heard, I had just heard ITL, and we were talking, he goes, do you know what that means? And I'm like, I have no idea, I don't remember. And I remember there was a lobbyist coming down the stairs, and I said, excuse me, I said, I'm sure you know what does ITL stand for? Oh, that's it, thank you.
Oh, wow. I'd be afraid that they'd go, Representative, you don't know what ITL means?
Hey, they knew we were freshmen.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a term that you don't...
No, it's true. I mean, it's good to ask, for sure.
Some people fake it too much. They don't... There's never a stupid question.
That's true.
The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. You don't understand something. If you don't ask the question, shame on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I've ran into that before with myself. You know,
yep.
I feel kind of weird if I ask this question. But then that's actually kind of one thing I've learned being a state rep is learning to ask questions regardless of how stupid I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're right. You know, it's better to ask a question. Even if it is dumb to most people, at least you asked it. And maybe somebody in the room was like, well, that was a question I had too. So, yeah, it's always good to get information out there.
Yeah, very good.
For sure.
Yep. Now, what do you think has been the most beneficial of being a state rep?
The most beneficial.
Yeah,
you know what? I think the most beneficial thing I found is the perspective I've gained with not just any certain issue, but issues in general. Being able to learn how to frame arguments a little bit better. And I want to be strategic in how I say this, I guess, but learning from everybody, no matter what walk of life they came from. I mean, because, you know, you will joke around about, you know, oh, those Democrats. I don't agree with all of them. And there's really not many Democrats I agree with at all that I can think of. I mean, realistically, the philosophy is different, everything. The worldview is all different. But even then, I've talked to a number of them, and, you know, they say, well, this is where I'm coming from. And then I go, oh, that's why you believe that? Okay. So then it helps me be able to frame my argument to be a little more convincing next time. That's been cool. And just sitting beside some of the guys, I've made some friends up there. You know, it's been a blast. But that's one thing I've learned is, and I really try to use the word perspective sparingly, because usually when people say perspective, they really mean change your principle. They're like, your perspective should change. You mean, are you implying my principle? Well, what's principle? Oh, that's what I thought, you know.
Now, you're coming to the end of your first year. Your session, you have one more session, don't you? One or two?
I think so. It looks like we've got one more that I know of.
Right, yeah.
So we should be done by June 30th.
Right. Okay. So the end of your first year, expectations met, not met, gone above your expectations? First year, sum it up.
First year, exciting, thrilling, aggravating, boring in some places, you know, honestly, that's going to happen in a lot of things. But then there's also been the learning that I've gained, and I think it's helping me sort of prepare for my last year until a re-election, of course, if I decide to run again, which looks likely to still, is what I may do next year for Merrimack. You know, bills that I plan on introducing. And so I've seen, there's a couple bills that I've seen go through this year that I really felt strong. One I spoke on, felt strong about, and it's the personhood bill, you know, defining life at conception. It's one of those bills that I think I may actually reintroduce myself, because it was introduced by another rep, but bring in a new perspective, if you will, on the topic.
Your second term.
Yeah, well, it'd be my first, because we can...
you can't bring it in next year.
You can't bring it in next year?
So it'd have to be your second term.
So it has to be the second term. So... but bills like that, kind of mulling them over, talking about them, bringing them back up, or something similar, you know, that hasn't been touched up on yet. So it'll be kind of it'll be a fun year next year. But this one was definitely a learning experience. You know. Oh yeah. That's anything in your first year is big like that. So.
Now, any new doors opening for you because of your position?
Funny you say that. Yes, actually. How do I put this? Well, there's sort of a job offer that's come my way. So that's, I'll just say right now, that's sort of in the process. I'm looking at that and seeing, done some interviews and stuff. So, but it's political. You know, it's involving on college campuses and pushing the fiscal responsibility, free market, limited government principles. So there's that. Meeting the candidates has been awesome, although people know now I am area chair for Ted Cruz, and I'm sort of on that leadership team. So that door has kind of opened up, you know, being able to talk with people. And I sort of found out that people are a little more receptive to what's being said by me. You know, they'll say, oh, how about this? How about this? But really, you know what it boils down to is going out and talking to people as well. You know, because people aren't just going to come to your house and say, oh, are you the representative? I'd like to talk to you. You know, people want you to come out and meet them and talk to them. Go to these different events, connect. And lots of doors have opened up. And I think they'll continue to open up, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's been an exciting journey.
Now, how about has your emails increased? You've been getting a lot of emails?
Yeah, they've increased significantly by far. Keeping track of them, but some of them are so redundant. You know, you'll get some, like, not as if I throw them off like they're unimportant, but some of them, you know, you'll get from certain people, and it's just the same over and over and over. And it's like they're trying to reiterate something.
You're talking about the form emails that you get?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm like, but there's a lot of different groups that'll just send out emails like that, and you're going, okay.
And the funny thing that I found out with those is that people will actually, they're either calling in or they're checking something out online. unbeknownst to them, either through their email or their phone call, they are switched over to your email or your phone even. I've picked up the phone because the phone was ringing, and this person thought they were still on the phone with the advocacy group or whatever they were talking to. They transferred the call to me. Yeah, this happened with pro-life bills. My phone number was put on an pro-choice website, and I was robocalled by probably my daughter. I think she counted, this was my youngest daughter, intercepted a lot of calls, finally started saying it was the wrong number to people calling my house, and then was just hanging up. I probably got over 100 phone calls one day because they were targeting me because I was against their bill. I was pro-life.
Oh.
And then that same thing happens with emails. They'll be on a web page, and what they type in gets sent to you, those form emails. And I've replied back to some, and they were back, I didn't write to you. So if I got 2 or 3 that I didn't even bother answering them because they didn't even know they sent them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, geez, okay.
Yeah. In my 4 years, I ended my 4 years, I remember at midnight, probably about 11:30, I made sure my inbox was totally clear, and I had just over, it was 33,000 emails in 4 years.
What?
Yeah.
33.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It was, yeah. And the biggest one that we had was speed limit on Lake Winnipesaukee.
Oh.
That generated thousands.
Wow.
Yep.
But I think that was the one you were talking about. It's not my place to say because really leave it up to them because of the residents. Yeah.
Well, we are at the end of the show.
Whoa.
That went by so quick.
I did.
Yes.
Jeez.
I thank you so much for being on my
Lenette.
show. It's always good to see you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Late Night with Lenette. Good night and God bless.